So have you ever used black batting in one of your quilts? I'm going to talk about that, why you want to use it, why I use it, and I'm going to show you how I've used it to baste a quilt. Now stick around to the second half of the video because we're also going to talk about the Quilt Tech basting gun. It's my favorite way to baste my quilts, and I'm going to show you how to do it.
Black batting is just like your regular cotton or polyester batting, but it's dyed black. It's designed specifically for use with dark-colored quilt tops and backings. If you use white batting under a dark quilt top, you might see that white peeks through open seams or thinner fabrics. Black batting blends right in. It will have the same feel and performance as your favorite white battings. Some of the drawbacks about black batting is it can be harder to find at smaller quilt shops. It can be slightly more expensive or less variety in brands. You're going to open up your batting, unfolding it completely, and then begin smoothing it out to start getting out some of the wrinkles. Because it's been folded for so long in its roll, it needs a little bit of help to lay flat. Today I'm going to be using this black batting for a small flannel quilt. Now all I'm doing right now is I am measuring, giving a rough measure of how much of this batting I actually need for this quilt. It is a small quilt, so I don't need the full bat. So I'm going to cut it so that I have plenty of extra around all of the edges. That's very important for when I'm quilting. So if there's any little bit of shift in the quilt sandwich, I will still have enough to cover. I'm going to remove this batting from my table, and now I'm ready to start the process of sandwiching the 3 layers together. So this is my flannel backing, and I'm going to lay that down with the right side down. Backing also needs to be generously larger than the quilt top. So now I'm taking my batting and I am placing it over the backing. What I'm going to be doing now is a lot of smoothing. I want to make sure that I've stretched this bat so that it's nice and flat. And the trick to basting a quilt together is your goal is you want to eliminate all of the lumps and bumps so that the three pieces of fabric are all tightly together. So I accomplished that first with my first 2 layers. I'm going to smooth and push outward toward the outside edge. And I take my time, and I take quite a bit of time doing this because it is very important. Now that I have those 2 layers smooth, I'm going to place my top on top of those layers with the right side up. I'm going to go through the same process again of smoothing this over quite a bit so that the 3 layers will begin to hold together a little bit. Because this is flannel, it will grip a little bit to that batting and the batting to the backing. I'm also making sure that I do have plenty of batting and backing on all sides of the quilt. Now that I have the 3 layers together, I am going to do the same smoothing process that I did with the first 2 layers. And this is something you're going to do quite a bit during the making of a quilt and basting, because it is really important to get this quilt as flat as possible. And so once I feel good about the front side, I am going to flip it over, and you can see the back. We have a lot of extra fabric here that needs to be taut. Some people will will tape the edges down in order to do this process. I find that I just smooth it over several times, and that is what works the best for me. So now that I have the back looking good and flat, I'm going to carefully flip it back over to the front and smooth it out once again. Now this is my favorite way of doing battings after quilt sandwiches after many years of making quilts. There are different ways to do it. This is my favorite.
And if you like this video and you like the information you're getting, please hit the subscribe button and the like button.
Once I have everything smoothed back over, I now can be fairly confident that I have all of the bubbles out of the fabric. See that from this side. It doesn't matter which side of the quilt you do baste. Now you can baste with pins, you can baste with thread. I use this tool, which is the Quilt Tech basting gun, and it has tacks. The blue at the top of the gun you can see are the little plastic tacks, just like the tags for your clothing tags, hang tags, but these are shorter and they're made specifically for quilting, basting quilts. I started a corner because this is over the years what I have found the easiest for me. When I'm using the basting gun, I start at the corner and I will move diagonally down the quilt, smoothing as I go. And that is what I have found to work really well for me. So I will now flip it. And now I will put basting stitches right down. I am using my hand underneath to make sure that this needle can go all the way through. And again, that's why I want to make sure that I can smooth it as I go. And so my hand underneath is, I'm careful to place the needle between my fingers. If you poke yourself with this, you will begin to bleed immediately. It's very sharp, but it needs to be sharp, so you just be very careful. I can do it very quickly because I've done this for a while. At first, you want to start slow, and it's also really nice to, if you're learning this gun, is to start with a small quilt such as this. Once I have this completely basted, I can now open it up and check the front. I know the back looks good. Now let's take a look at the front and make sure there's not bubbles. Now it will look like there are some bubbles here, and that is because this is flannel. What I can do here is I can now take out some of the tags along that edge where you see the bubble, and I can redo those tags if I can't straighten them out with by smoothing. And so that's what I'm going to do. I see a couple here. I'm just going to clip them without clipping the fabric, smooth that out again, and now I can rebaste. Very important that you take the time and do this. I usually will listen to something on TV while I'm doing this so that I don't rush it, so that I make sure that it is nice and flat and it's ready to quilt. Now I can quilt it on the machine, or I can quilt it on the by Big Stitch, which is what I'm going to do. These are the refills for the Quilt Tech guns. They are different colors, and it doesn't matter what color you use. They're all the same size, but you do want to get the tags that go with this gun. And this is a really good one. I've tried others. This is my favorite. So you can order the extra tags. One packet that you get when you first buy your Quilt Tech gun is enough to do a couple large quilts. So I'm just looking at it right now and looking to see, is there anything that's going to want to bubble up on me? And there again, I don't like that one, so I'm just going to take that tag out, smooth it over again, and re-tag it. And if I get that second one, now I can get this corner looking better. Now when I quilt, some of this will quilt right out. So you don't need to worry about every bubble, but try to get them as best you can. And so I'm just placing a few extra. Usually you're going to want the tags about the distance of one hand width, so that you make sure that you have. Now this particular quilt is flannel. Flannel is a little more difficult to do than the cotton, and that's because it's stretchy. And so that's why I normally don't have to take this much extra time to re-straighten it out. But again, worth doing. This quilt's gonna need it, and I'm happy to do it because that means when I do quilt, everything is going to be good to go.